get started. We're doing the section Refuse to Lose, Finding God in Frustrating Plans. I've known Jamie he's the one that runs the Mantours. I've known him for about 20 years, and I'm not sure why he asked me to do Refuse to Lose. I guess he thought I was an expert at it or something. Losing, I mean. But the Bible has a lot to say about losing and quitting and that kind of thing, and that's where I'm going with the seminar. In Luke 9:24, it says, "For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit his very self?" So I guess it really depends on your perspective on what you're losing or what you're giving up. And so we're going to look at that tonight. This morning. So, how many of you have quit something that you started? You didn't finish it. How many of you have done that before? Something? Yeah, you did. You started something and you didn't finish it, which is not always a bad thing. What are some reasons why you would quit something and not finish it?
Lost interest.
Okay, you're not interested anymore. You get excited about it. Someone tells you about something new. You're like, oh, this would be really neat, and then kind of lose interest. What else might make you quit?
It's too hard.
Yeah, it gets difficult. Some things are easier at first, right? And the more you do it, it's harder.
Too many obstacles.
Okay, like what?
I don't know. I have to think.
Don't have time. Maybe your kids want some of your time, or maybe even your grandkids.
The project itself has too many, maybe too complicated.
All right, yeah, too complicated. Can't figure it out. There can be all kinds of reasons why we might quit. Quitting isn't usually considered a great thing. I mean, it's not usually something we like to brag about. I don't know how many of you have switched jobs recently, but when you're writing up your resume, you don't usually list all the things you quit. List of resume you, but I quit playing the guitar when I was 10. Or I tried doing this, but I quit and it was too hard. You don't list your things that you quit or that you started. You list the things that you actually accomplished. And a friend in college, he was in his freshman year. Actually, right now I was talking to him, and he started as a physics major. And then after a couple months, he said, "Oh, I don't want to take the calculus classes. You know what? I'm going to switch to bio major." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's great." Next thing I met with him, I said, "How you doing? How's the bio major going?" "Oh, yeah. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm majoring in economics now." Because there's something about bio that he didn't like. And this was all in his freshman year. He had switched. Now, that's not necessarily bad. I'm not, I don't want you to think he's not a bad person because he's switching his things. But you wouldn't put those on your resume, right? You wouldn't put the things that you quit, like, I was almost a physics major. That's not part of it. You wouldn't want to put that. The things that you quit. So we quit all kinds of different things. And someone mentioned that guys oftentimes quit projects. Like we'll start a project, a building or something, and we won't finish it, right? I mean, how many people have different projects that they worked on and they didn't finish? I don't know why I got in my head. We have a garden in our backyard. One time I got in my head to make a wheelbarrow for the kids to use in the garden. And so I thought, wheelbarrow can't be too complicated, right? And so I started making it, and I got done with the barrow part. Still doesn't have a wheel. This is 2 years later. No wheel. And no wheel is forthcoming. Let's just put it that way. It's still there. And you might have projects around the house that you kind of quit on. Guys tend to start things and not finish. So for some things it doesn't matter a whole lot, but the problem is that a lot of things, they really do matter. And we quit because we're discouraged. God wants us to accomplish things for Him. And He doesn't want us to give up just because it's hard, or just because it's difficult, or just because other things come up that try to occupy our time. This is a real problem. We can find men that quit things like their marriages. They just quit. Recently a friend, I don't want to out anybody, but Craig might know him, but they put it on Facebook. A friend of ours from Bible college put it on Facebook, and he said, "Yes, I'm getting a divorce. Yes, it's my decision." And just a matter of fact, yes, I'm doing this. I mean, he was very honest. Sometimes maybe if the spouse leaves, you can't do anything about it. But he's just saying, I found somebody else. Yes, I'm getting a divorce. This is what I want to do. So sad. He's quitting on his marriage. In a sense, he's quitting on his kids. Now, I'm sure he would say he cares about his kids, he loves kids. But that affects your kids. Quitting on your kids. Quitting on something that God's called you to. That God's called you to. Now, Craig and I have been in Bible college too, just like Jamie. And, when I think about the people at Bible college that went into ministry, or were going there for ministry, most of the people that I know that had a calling of God on their lives are not in ministry anymore. From Bible college. From Bible college. And so that's why I love seeing people like Craig, I love seeing people like Jamie, because 20 years later, they're still being faithful. They haven't quit. And people quit. They quit for all kinds of reasons, very legitimate reasons. But they give up on what God's called them to do. Doing what God's called you to isn't easy. Isn't easy. A lot of people quit. And I have no doubt that there are some of you that might have felt like you wanted to quit on different things that God has called you to. It's important for us to know one thing is that everyone gets discouraged sometimes. And I mean everyone. Everyone. It's always the people that look like they have it all together. They're the ones that end up falling apart completely. You know what I mean? It's like the famous people that you think are like, they have so much joy in their life, and then Robin Williams commits suicide. Mm-hmm. And you think, what happened? I thought for sure. Everyone gets discouraged sometime and wants to quit. I was talking to someone in my church one time that was discouraged. I was saying, hey, I get discouraged too. And they said, really? Like they were legitimately surprised that the pastor would get discouraged. I'm not joking. They were, really? Yeah! I get discouraged sometimes too. I was talking to another friend. They were saying about their pastor, how's it going to church and that kind of thing. And they said, oh, it's going okay. It seems like the pastor just has been struggling lately. It seems like, I'll come to church and something seems like it's wrong. They said, I'm kind of worried he's going to, leave the church. He's going to go somewhere else. And I said, well, have you encouraged him? And they said, no, I didn't think about that. I didn't even think about that. I said, well, why not? Well, he said, well, I don't come to church for him to encourage me. I come to church for the pastor to encourage me, not for me to encourage him. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. He didn't really say that. But that's really what he does when he comes to church. You might say, well, what does this have to do? Well, man, you're the shepherd in your family. And some people look at you and they say, Dad never gets discouraged. Dad never wants to quit or leave, or Dad, or your wife thinks they never want to. That's, you're the shepherd of your family. You're a spiritual authority in your family. And some people look at you and they think, you have it all together, so what do? We kind of pretend everything's okay, right? We hide. So who do we go to when we're discouraged? I really have a heart for pastors. I care a lot about pastors, obviously, because I'm one. But men, dads, husbands, sometimes they don't know who to go to when they're struggling. Who does the shepherd go to when they're struggling, when they're doubting and discouraged? So what do you do? It makes people want to give up sometimes. I want you to write down, if you could, on your paper, there should be some spaces there, or you can just think of them. The top 2 things that are discouraging to you right now. Again, everyone gets discouraged. Pastors get discouraged, dads get discouraged, husbands get discouraged. What are some, maybe 2 things that are discouraging to you right now? And maybe if 1 or 2 people could share them, just so we can have an idea. Sometimes it's really important for us to know that everyone gets discouraged. What are some things that might be discouraging right now?
For me, school, college, making changes in direction of where my life is going.
Yeah. Yeah, school's a tough one, because you don't know what exactly is happening. Are you in college?
I actually took a semester off
Okay.
to kind of straighten things out.
Right.
So I'm a little discouraged with that.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes to get going again. It's important for us to have people around us that say, you know what? I wanted to quit school a lot of times. And I know some people that have stopped school. Actually, one of the guys in our, he leads worship once a month, but he's at Millersville right now. He took a year off too, and then he went back into it and got back on it. What are some other things that are discouraging? Sometimes things get hard.
At work a lot of times, I find myself, I feel like I'm trampled all the time by people around me. I'm trying to be kind and courteous and helpful, and I'm just constantly stepping.
You feel like you get walked on because you're kind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like they look at that like it's a weakness or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's hard to be kind.
Yeah.
And it's very discouraging sometimes to me to find that, I'm trying to give and I get like I get nothing back.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm trying to get back, I just really trying to be helpful. And
Right.
I heard somebody say the other day on the radio that our society is no longer a civil society. And I feel that that is very true.
Yeah.
It just takes, it doesn't give anymore.
Yeah, people only think it's very self-centered. And when you're trying to think of other people, well, they're thinking of themselves too. But but they don't often reciprocate that a little bit. You know, when you're thinking of them, they don't often like, oh, well, it'll be nice to you too. So that can definitely be a struggle. You know, part of this is too seeing God in our, you know, in discouraging situations, seeing God in that situation. Any thoughts, about how you can see God in a situation like that? Because that's very common, where a believer will try to be doing the right thing, whether it's at their job or even at church sometimes. They're trying to be kind, do the right thing, and they feel like people are stomping on them. How can you see God in that situation? Any thoughts?
I think you have to be, you have to spend time with God in the morning. I find when I get discouraged in my, I was thinking about my relationship with the wife. Sometimes we struggle, and I think a lot of it's on my prayer life. And if I don't have my prayer life right, some of the other things seem like they slip. And I think that's a good place to start, because if your prayer life's like your spirits, you're walking from a different perspective if you're where God wants you to be. And I'm not saying that for you, I'm saying that for me.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I find myself, that when I'm discouraged or I want to quit something, it's because I haven't been where I need to be with the Lord.
Okay, we definitely want to spend time with the Lord. How can you see God in that situation? If you're spending time with the Lord, you think you're doing everything you're supposed to, you're going to church, you're serving the Lord. How can you see God in that situation? And there's lots of men in the Bible, lots of people in the Bible, where they're clearly following the Lord, and they're still getting stepped on. How do you see God in that situation?
I was going to say, I'm constantly reminded, I brought it up as an example of what you're asking for, but I'm not putting myself on the cross by any means, but that was Jesus.
Yeah.
He was just beat down by the world, and he gave everything for the world, and still they stomped on him and killed him.
Yeah, how many times have Christians said, like, I don't do door-to-door evangelism. I just want people to see my life and know there's something different in me, right? I don't actually talk about Jesus. I just want people to see my life, know something's different about me. Well, guess what? When people specifically at your work you feel like they're stepping on you because you're being kind, and they see something different about you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want. We want them to, and I'll tell you what, people like that, when they have issues in their lives, they know who to go to. I can think of so many people in the church and also just friends where you think, you think they're taking advantage of their but then when something comes up, they know where to go to. They know where to go to. There is something different about you. If you feel like people are taking advantage of you, there is something different about you. You're a servant, just like Christ was. So remember that. So it's important for us to see God in these situations. That's God. That's an awesome testimony to me. When people treat you differently at work. Now, it might not be the way you want to be treated. I prefer they treat me with respect. And, sometimes there's things where, you're at work, people know you're a Christian, and so they don't curse around you and some of that kind of stuff. I'd prefer it be something like that where they revere you because you're a Christian. But sometimes they're like, there's something different about them. They don't respond. I want to see if I can get a rise out of him. They see something. That's a testimony, though. That's a testimony. And they'll know who to go to when they need help. I've had it happen lots of times. They know who to go to when they need help. So, I wanted to ask you this question. Do you think discouragement is more of a problem with little things of discouragement, or when big bad things happen? Which one do you think is more difficult? When little things that are discouraging over and over again, or when something big happens? Which one do you think is more of a problem?
Little things.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because there's always little things, and people get discouraged. The big thing, when the big thing happens, if you can't handle the little things, and you're struggling with the little day-to-day things, which happens, the big things you ain't going to be able to handle. But the little things are, it's the little foxes spoil the vines. Just the little problems day to day that, I mean, I'll just use my wife again, but, you know, sometimes I just act normal. My wife will think, well, I said something to offend her. I didn't even realize. I'm just being myself. And I'm thinking, what did I say? And, you know, she'll say, you know, well, you said this. I'm thinking, what did I say? I don't even know what I said. But little things, you know, and that it causes you frustration because, you know, it's my heart to please her, you know, but I don't always. But I'm just using that as an example. These little things, you know, sometimes my own life, my own regular being myself, you know, and she thinks, well, you don't consider me in this, or so on and so forth, you know, the little things.
And especially over years.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, the little things prepare for the big things.
Yeah.
When there's something big that comes, you kind of know it's something big, so you're ready for it. You know what I mean? Like when you flinch. You know, but it's the little things. It's like the drip, 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 drip. At least in my own personal life, I find a lot. It's the little things that really get me to like, then all of a sudden you find out, like you said, your wife was upset about something, that you're like, what did I say? Because sometimes I find in my own life, when it's little discouragements over and over again, and then it's like the one thing that has nothing to do with all these other ones that makes me like, I can't believe you know, it makes you kind of like lose it. You know what I mean? Because it's the little ones that you're not thinking about, you're not prepared for, and you're really not saying, look, Lord, help me with this. Because sometimes we think, well, it's little. I don't need to necessarily pray to God when someone's asking for prayer requests for, you know, cancer, and this person has like leukemia, you know, whatever, and then you're like, I was just discouraged a little bit, you know, and so you let it go, right? Until it builds up, and then you explode. And guys have a habit of doing that.
You just said that, you know, you shrug the little things off until they're honest and you explode.
Well, you know, dealing with issues of sin, and this is something I've dealt with throughout my lifetime, is I have struggled with lust. But if I'm watching, you know, I can be watching.
By the way, I don't know any guy that hasn't struggled with lust.
Little things, but just those little things when you give in a little time. And it's not you're not looking at blah, 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 pornography, but a little thing. And you know, you find out when you're failing in the little things, you know, when the big thing comes, you can't handle it. But it's the little day-to-day conflicts that you have with saying no to this, you know, the areas that, you know, that's an area for me, but everybody has areas, whether with anger or whatever issue, in little things that you're fighting off and saying no to. That gives you strength when maybe a bigger test comes, that you're able to walk worthy, you know, to handle it.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure that you all understood this too. This is on the paper as well. Feeling that way is not a sin. Feeling discouraged is not a sin. Feeling like you want to quit is not a sin. It's when we let those things take root in us. And they make us quit and give up in the things that God has called you to do. I want to give you an example of little discouragements in my life that when I was a youth pastor. Of course, we have a group of kids. We try to reach out to the kids. And this one kid was just struggling in youth group, connecting with the kids. And I was trying to connect with him. He just wasn't working. It was just starting to get discouraged because he just couldn't, whatever we did, we do all these different things. And we tried to invite him, hey, come to this. And couldn't connect with him. So I thought, well, let me talk to his mom. So I talked to his mom. And she said, well, he doesn't like basketball. We do basketball a lot. And he doesn't like this, and so he doesn't come to that, and he doesn't like these things. I'm like, oh, you know, man, you know. And I'm like, okay, well, what does he like to do? And so I decided that we would plan an activity just to gear towards him, that he would love to come to. So we did it all, planned it all night. We planned all the games. I talked to his mom, what kind of games does he like? What kind of food does he like? We're going to get that kind of food, you know, the certain kind of toppings for the pizza and that kind of stuff. And we're going to gear it around him. We're going to make sure we scheduled it for a day where he can make sure that he could be there. And so I was all excited about this. And then the all-nighter came. Guess who didn't show up? Didn't show up. Did the whole all-nighter. The whole all-nighter. I wondered, yeah. Afterwards, I asked his mom. I said, what's up? Where was he at? Did something come up? Was there a family emergency? Is everyone okay? She said, no, he just didn't feel like coming. And I remember clearly, she said something like this. She said, He's been telling you all the games he wants to play, and he's been helping you plan all the activities. She said, I feel so bad for him because he just didn't feel like coming that day. I said, what? I planned all these things. I've been trying to reach out to this kid, and you couldn't just say, you're going? I mean, it was so discouraging, but it was because it was the constant. It wasn't the one big thing that I saw coming. You know, when someone comes up to you and says something crazy, you know, I'm sure Pastor Craig does this too, where someone says something crazy, and you like, don't flinch. You know, don't flinch. You know, like my uncle left his wife for another guy that thinks he's a woman, and they're getting married to their pet, and then someone else is flying overseas, and they're going to some becoming Hindu or whatever. I'm like, none of that. I don't even like any kind of people say kind of crazy things. I don't even flinch. I know, but boy, it's those little things over and over again, that can really discourage us and wear us down. Now, feeling that way is not a sin. Elijah felt discouraged. Elijah felt depressed even, it says. That he says, God, just take my life. I don't know how literal he meant with that. I don't know if he was actually contemplating that. But he actually he was discouraged. It's in the scripture. And that was right after God had done just an incredible work. Anyway. So sometimes we like to think as men we're strong. We can take care of things ourselves. But really we need some help. So most guys like to think like John Wayne or Chuck Norris, but I prefer Chuck Norris personally, but my wife likes John Wayne, but discouragement is just a feeling. It's not a sin. There's a story about a pastor at his farewell dinner. He was saying farewell to church. He was just moving on, just not for any particular reason. But there was someone, a pillar in the church that was there, and they were really upset. And so the pastor goes over to try to console him and make him feel better. And he said, don't be so sad. The next pastor might be better than me. And the guy said, well, that's what they said last time. And it just keeps getting worse. Sometimes it's hard to encourage people, right? I mean, like you said, you're trying to care for other people, and you feel like they're stepping on you. And it makes it worse. But we want to look at the good of people. There's one thing, to me, well, there's a lot of things, but one thing in particular, what's better than me accomplishing great things? What do you think is better than me accomplishing great things?
Seeing others accomplish things.
Helping others, especially others that I care about. I know you care about your other people in your church. You care about your kids. You care about your spouse. When I can help them accomplish great things, that feels even better. I love seeing my son. He's been helping with worship. He's 12 years old. He's helping with the drums at worship. Never thought he'd be doing it. I didn't push him into it. He just wanted to do it. Go ahead. Helping someone else accomplish great things. Took a set of drums, put it in our house. That's one of the things that's better, so we can help other people. Help other people accomplish great things. So I want to encourage you. I want to also try to give you some tips for when you're discouraged, of course. I know we've had this, Jamie said we've had this topic in Mantour before, so I thought I'd word this a little bit differently. I don't think I guarantee you've never heard these as tips for not being discouraged, refuse to lose. I guarantee you've never heard these as tips. So these are on your paper if you want to follow. If not, number one tip, be stubborn. Be stubborn. I don't know if you ever heard that in a sermon before. Be stubborn. A lot of people don't think stubbornness is a great quality, but it is. The definition of stubbornness is this: having or showing dogged determination not to change one's attitude or position on something. Are you stubborn about anything? I mean, there's maybe stubborn about it. Like you like things a certain way. There's certain foods I like a certain way. You can tell I like to eat. There's certain foods I like certain things I like to do a certain way. What, you think about something?
I have a testimony of that, but there's a guy who came to our church, Minister Brian Bolt. He's from Pittsburgh. Well, he prophesies over people, and he prophesied over me, and he said, I see a bulldog that gets a hold of a bone and won't let go. And I don't know how many times that encouraged me to keep on, to persevere because of that word, so that was there is something about that. Stubborn for the right reasons is is a great thing.
Exactly. We're stubborn for all the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah, that too, yeah.
But to be stubborn for the things of God and not giving up. Not giving up. Ezekiel 3:4-9 says, "He then said to me, Son of man, go now to the house of Israel and speak my words to them. You're not being sent to people to obscure speech in difficult language, but to the house of Israel, your own people. Not to many peoples of obscure speech and difficult language, again, whose words you cannot understand. Surely, if I had sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel, they're not going to listen to you, because they're not willing to listen to you. For the whole house of Israel is hardened and obstinate. But I'm going to make you as unyielding and as hardened as they are. I will make your forehead like the hardest stone, harder than flint. Don't be afraid of them or terrified of them, though they are a rebellious house." When you have a calling of God, and it's not just pastor shadow callings, I believe every believer has a calling on their life. I mean a specific calling. God has you for a specific purpose, whether it's at your work or in your family or a ministry in the church sometimes. Maybe it's Ben's ministry. Hold on to that. Don't give that up. And I don't mean because someone else wants to help you. I mean, don't give it up because it's getting hard, or because no one shows up to a meeting. You have a calling, so write it down. Write down what God has called you to. Put it in your wallet. Have in your wallet, God has called me to these men in the church. God has called me to my family. That kind of thing. So what has God called you to? You should think about that. If you don't know, I'll tell you what God's called you to. Because His Word says this. He's called you to be a spiritual leader to your kids, to your wife. He's called you to love your wife like you love yourself. He's called you to be a part of His church. There's no one that can say, God's called me to be away from the church. Well, maybe to be an evangelist, but you're still going to church. You're still going to be around other believers. God has called you to be a witness to people at your work. And He's called you personally. He's called you by name. When I think of stubbornness, I think of someone who doesn't just take it too. Stubbornness, I don't think of someone that just takes it. I think of someone that pushes back a little bit. You know what I mean? That wants to prove people wrong. Like when I used to, there were a couple people, one guy in particular, I'm thinking of now, at my work, that he tried to rob me up because he knew I was a believer. And so I tried to be extra special nice to him, with cherries on top. Just to prove him wrong. My dad, he gave his heart to the Lord when he was 15 years old. 15 years old. He was radically changed. I mean radically. You'd have to hear his testimony to understand how God changed him. His family was not believers. Not believers. Far from it. Let's put it that way. Terrible background. Was in prison, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, was in prison before 15. 15 years old, God got a hold of his life, radically changed. He wanted to tell someone about it. He got home. He didn't live with it. He just lived with his dad. He got home. He wanted to tell his dad about it. He said, Dad, I got to tell you, something's different. Something's different about me. He said, it's Jesus. I gave my heart to Jesus tonight. He said, I'm not the same person I was before. His dad looked at him and said, Son, it's just a phase. It's just a phase. You'll grow out of it. You'll grow out of it. Years later, he was sitting with my grandpa. He said, Dad, do you think I'm still going to grow out of this Jesus thing? He'd been a believer for years at that point, Well, my grandpa ended up giving his heart to the Lord before he passed away. He started going to church, got his life right with God. Sometimes it takes a little bit of just, I'm going to prove them wrong. Stubbornness on the things of God. When people try to discourage you, maybe you're doing something at your church, and people discourage you, maybe sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident. They say, I just didn't show up because I was busy. Like, I was counting on you. I thought you were going to go out to the men's ministry or the youth ministry. I was counting on you. See, I'm going to make this work anyway. I'm going to make it be good. I'm going to make them wish they came to it. A little bit of stubbornness there. A little bit of stubbornness. Don't let discouragement stop you. Let it motivate you. Especially discouragement that other people say when they speak things. Because usually people don't mean it. Like I said, your wife says something, she doesn't want you to be distraught over it usually. And lots of times people say things that are discouraging. They don't even realize it. And you take it personally. Let that motivate you. Motivate you. One of my favorite sayings is this: get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. Get comfortable as a believer feeling uncomfortable. because God has not called us to a life of comfort. He's called us to a life to show people the way to heaven. So get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 5:11, "Blessed are you when people insult you." So there you go. Tell you what I'm going to say it again, what a great testimony. What a blessing. Blessed are you when people insult you, they persecute you, they falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way, they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So when you feel discouraged, you want to quit on the things of God, be stubborn, number one. Number two, remember, again, you might not hear this in a sermon very often, you want to be rich. You want to be rich, okay? Let me explain. I told you this was not a typical Mantour outline. How much do you have before you would consider yourself rich? I just want to ask you a question. How much would you have would you need to have before you would consider yourself rich? There was a survey done with people that made $50,000 a year. They said, how much would you need to make in order to consider yourself to have achieved the American dream? $50,000 a year, they said $100,000 a year. Then I would consider myself to have achieved the American dream. So let's ask people that make $100,000 the same question. Guess what they said?
200,000.
150,000. 150,000. Yeah, just out of reach. A little bit more. Now, does that mean the people that make 100,000 didn't achieve the American dream? I guess not. They're not rich in their own eyes. Really, they're not rich in God's eyes just because they have 100,000 a year either. Being rich really has very little to do with numbers. It really does. It has very little to do with numbers. You might not look rich to anyone. These guys sure don't look rich. They look like some guys who here's a couple bucks. Get yourself a sandwich. Get a bag somewhere, would you? You know what I'm saying? But rich have very little to do with money. Very little. And this is we have so many guys at church now that are I can't pull it off. I look rough enough as it is. Anyway, but it has very little to do with money. It has very little to do with money. Revelation 2:8 says, "To the angel of the church in Smyrna," so this is a church in Smyrna, "write, these are the words of him who is the first and the last, who died and came to life again. I know your afflictions, and I know your poverty. Yet you are," do you know what the word is? "I know your poverty, yet you are rich. I know the slander of those who say they're Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. I tell you, the devil will put some of you in prison to test you, and you will suffer persecution for 10 days. Be faithful, even to the point of death, and I'll give you the crown of life." So the church in Smyrna was experiencing all these things. Persecution, poverty. And Jesus said, they're rich. They're rich. Our first thought would probably be persecution, poverty. Let's move to a different town. You know what I mean? Like, let's move to Thessalonica or something. Let's move like a bustling. That would be our first thought. But Jesus said, you're actually rich because you're where God wants you to be. And some way, even Christians make decisions not based on what the Spirit is leading them in their jobs. They make a decision. I'm talking about secular jobs now. I'm talking about working in an office. I'm talking about, working on the counter, working in the mill. I'm talking about that working on the farm. I mean, they leave their secular jobs not based on, I feel like God's moving us, but based on, I feel like the bank account's kind of light and we need to make some money, or we need more money. You might just be there for the money, but God doesn't just have you at your job for the money. God doesn't just have you at your job for the money. He has an eternal purpose for you. We usually have in mind what we think success is, but sometimes God's preparing us for success. He really is. True success. Years ago in Philadelphia, when I was a youth pastor, I had in my heart that I wanted to start a basketball ministry. 3-on-3 basketball ministry in the summer. So I thought, okay, let's do a 3-on-3 summer tournament. And so I planned, there's a lot of planning going into this kind of stuff. I planned all the stuff. We made a program to compile the stats. We were going to do the stats every week and that kind of stuff. And get the shirt designs. Got all this stuff ready. Put it out there to the community. Put it out to their youth group. And that summer we had 3 kids show up for basketball. Oh, okay. Well, we could have canceled it. No, we're going to do this every week. We're going to meet. We're going to play basketball every single week. Meet and play basketball. Next year we had 4 teams of 3. Each of them had a substitute. Played 3-on-3. Next year we had 6 teams of 4. These are all community kids. These are not church kids. These are not people that even know God. I mean, they were rough characters. Let me tell you, playing basketball, not an easy thing to do. God was preparing us for success because it wasn't just about the numbers. You know, the first year when we were spending time with the kids, it made a difference. People came to know the Lord through that ministry. And it looked like a failure. It really did. God was preparing us for success. You probably heard about Bernie Madoff, right? A couple years ago? Have you guys heard about Bernie Madoff? We scammed billions from people, scammed them. Thousands of people thought they were rich one day. One day they thought they were rich. They woke up, they thought, I have $1 million. I have it. You know, the Bernie Madoff's taking care of it for us. The next day they find out they actually had nothing. They had nothing. There was just nothing there. It was all fake. It was like, he was saying we got tons of money, but they found out they had nothing. You know, a lot of people today, they think they're rich, and they're going to find out one day they have nothing. Nothing. Store up treasure for a rainy day. You know where a good place to store it is? In heaven. In heaven. In heaven. When you did get discouraged, remember, look, it's not just about what your bank account is here on earth, or how much you have in your 401k, your retirement account, or whatever, or how big your house is. But it's what you're storing up in heaven. You know, every time you share Jesus with someone, you're storing up in heaven. In some cases, you're doubling your bank account, right? It's another person. You know, when you share Jesus with someone, you're storing up in heaven every single time. When you take your kids to church faithfully every week, you're storing up treasure in heaven. When you pray for God's guidance instead of what you want to do, when you're listening to Him, you're storing up treasure in heaven. And you're doing it for true riches. You're doing it for riches, just true riches. Not just the American kind that, you know, who knows what it's going to be worth in a couple of years. The US dollar. So when you feel discouraged, you want to quit. Number 3, remember to take the easier way. To take the easier way. You might think of the easier way. The easier way is to quit, to walk away, right? I'm just going to wash my hands of it. I'm going to start over. You know, like kind of like the one guy did. He's like, I'm going to start over with a new wife. Yeah, that's the easy way, right? Oh, actually, that's the harder way. That's the harder way. Take the easier way, okay? People, when they walk away from their marriage, it tears everything apart. It tears their kids apart, tears their relationships. I always kind of joke around with my wife. I said, if something ever happened with the two of us, they'd stay with my wife, and my family would stay with her instead of, you know, they'd go to have invite her to the family get-together instead of me. You know, it tears families apart. It's not the easier way. We think it's easier. And sometimes when we don't listen to God, we think it's easier just, you know, I'm not going to be an usher anymore because it's just a hassle. You know, I don't want to be a teacher, a Sunday school teacher anymore. It's just a hassle. That's going to be harder for you. It's going to be harder for you. You know, you're going to find your greatest fulfillment when you're doing what God's called you to. When you're doing what God calls you to. So, Matthew 11:29-30 says this. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is, you know what it is? My yoke's easy. My burden's light. You know, the biblical principles for things like family, sexuality especially, that kind of stuff, for faithfulness, they make life so much easier. You know, biblical principles about finances even, you know, the ones that say money stored up little by little, you know, gathers, but when it's gained quickly, it quickly vanishes. Mm-hmm. That's so true. When people win, they're like, if I could just win the lottery. They win the lottery, they're like declaring bankruptcy within, I forget what the numbers is, like a year or something like that. Why? Because they're not following biblical principles are a lot easier. You know, I didn't have to worry about, you know, when I've never had to worry about, like, what if I get a sexually transmitted disease? Like, that's not even in the realm of possibility, really. You know, maybe if I have the blood drive that we have in our church or something, and they said, really, it's not even in the realm of possibility. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about my wife, you know, cheating with me on some other guy, because when we were dating, and when I looked a little bit better, you know, was a little thinner, she didn't do anything she wasn't supposed to with me before we were married, so I know I can trust her. Because when she was attracted, you know, hopefully she's still attracted to me, you know what I'm saying, but when I could trust her with me, because I did things the right way. And so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to think she, you know, well, I've seen sometimes she gets carried away when she's, you know, passionate about something. No, I did things the right way. It's so much easier when we follow the biblical principles, it really is, of faithfulness. You know when you have a church family that you can rely on because you've been faithfully going to church, right? And you know you can call, you can talk to your brother, you know, maybe some guys that are here, because you know them, you've spent time with them, you've been faithful to church. And you can share your struggles with them. It makes life so much easier. Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So take the easy way, which is God's way. God's way. Remember Rocky? What made you root for Rocky?
Underdog.
He's the underdog, yeah. Was he the strongest? What was he though? He was the toughest. What?
Determined.
He was determined, yeah. Strength is muscular, toughness is mental. He was the toughest. If you saw his face coming at you, he's not going to stop. You know what I mean? Who was it? One of the boxers that said, everyone has a plan to get punched in the face, right? I forget who said that. I can't remember his name now. But you see that face coming out, he's not going to stop. Strength is muscular, toughness is mental. He wouldn't stop. You know, the favorite verse of a lot of Christian athletes, do you know what it is? Philippians 4:13.
I can do all things.
A lot of athletes like this, they tattoo out, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's a great verse. This is John Jones, by the way. He's in the UFC, Ultimate Fighting. He was one of the champions. But they like it because it sounds like it means that they can win every time. That they can be a winner and they're going to win this no matter what. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But when Paul wrote this, he was under Roman guard. Basically in prison. He was in prison. And he wasn't planning on escaping. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Get out of here. No, he was saying, look, I've been through a lot. It's been discouraging. But I'm going to make it. Why? Because I can do all things. I'm not going to quit. Why? Because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:11, I'll read those verses first. I'm not saying this because I'm in need. For I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty too. But I've learned the secret of being content, not victorious, but content in every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do anything through him who gives me strength. After Lord Wellington, he defeated Napoleon at Waterloo. He said, our men were not braver than the enemy. They were just braver for 5 minutes longer than the enemy. And sometimes it's just hanging on, having that determination, that toughness, not necessarily the strength. You might not be like a super Christian. That's all right. Not a super Christian either. But you might have that toughness where I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to quit. Tell you what, you have a lot of discouraging things maybe as well. I've had all kinds of discouraging things. And people, most of the time, they don't even realize it's discouraging. But we can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. We don't have to quit. Let's do the easy thing. Let's do what God called us to do. And when you feel discouraged, you want to quit, remember to be stubborn. Remember God's calling on your life. Don't forget it. Don't let it go. Remember that you want to be rich in the things of God. The things of God. Your dollar might not be worth a whole lot tomorrow. Remember that God's way is the easy way, number 3. And number 4, when you get discouraged, remember, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. God doesn't call you to do what you can do on your own. He wants you to do something that you can do with Him. Why would He want you to do something that you can do on your own? He wants you to do something better than that. He wants to do what you can't do on your own, but you have to do with Him. Psalm 43:5. Why are you downcast, O my soul? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in me, in God. For I will yet praise Him, my Savior and my God. That was the psalmist. The psalmist is discouraged. Why so downcast, O my soul? He's the psalmist. He's writing the Bible here. He's writing a psalm. And he's saying, why am I so downcast? You know what? I put my hope in God, not myself. I can't do it. I can't do it. We get discouraged when we take our eyes off God and we look at the obstacle. Don't put your hope in your own ability or your own talents. You know, you never know when your talents might be gone. My cousin, a couple of years back, he's a young guy, in the military, strong guy. I got him in the military. And he was in a car accident. Lost both his legs. totally just. My uncle, 2 years ago, yeah, a great guy, great business. He works as a realtor. Good looking guy too. I mean, just always like one of those kids that everyone likes and everyone wants to be around. And he has so many like natural attraction. People are attracted to him. He was hunting and ended up using a high-powered rifle. Took out his eye. He can't see anywhere. It hit him. Experienced hunter. I mean, he was going after this bear that he missed the year before. And so he got a higher powered rifle, took it up, boom, kicked back, took out his eye, lost his eye. Just like that. I mean, just gone. Can you imagine? Not being able to see? Yeah, I've always had a mindset that, God, I can't do it. If you'll just help me, I'll take a step. If you'll be with me there and you'll help me take the next step. We need men that know that they can't do it. They don't think they have it all together. They don't think I have so many talents and so many abilities, but really know that they can rely on God. As I wrap up, I think we're about out of time. Since I don't know where everyone is at right now, with the Lord and that kind of stuff, maybe you're feeling strong in the Lord. Did you know that one of the most dangerous times for Christians is after a time of blessing? That's one of the most dangerous times for Christians. Literally, I remember someone that I knew, they said in their youth group they had a revival service. And the kids were up at the altar to worship, people baptized in the Holy Spirit, filled with the Holy Spirit. He said after that, he found out later on 2 of his kids went off and they were having sex together. Right after they were right up at the altars. You know what I mean? Just worshiping the Lord. One of the most dangerous times for us is after a time of blessing where we're excited or something goes right for us. Right after God did something big at Mount Carmel, remember? Yeah. That's when Elijah was depressed afterwards. God did something big and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. We think, how could that happen? That's just our nature because we start getting our eyes off God. And we start thinking, wow, I'm doing this. I'm being a father, a husband. Wow, my life seems like it's together. Early church fathers used to say this: beware of human reactions after holy exertions. Let's say that one more time. Beware of human reactions after holy exertions. Depression lies to us. Discouragement lies to us. It convinces us of things that aren't true. And no one is immune to getting a little depressed and discouraged. Even the prophets, even pastors, teachers, fathers, husbands, people that others look up to. No one's immune to it. Even Elijah. I'd like to close by just praying because we are out of time now. Just want to close with a prayer of blessing for you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord would make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you, that God would give you peace in whatever circumstance that you're in, no matter who's treating you whatever way, or whether you're discouraged from people at work. Maybe you're discouraged at home. Lord, that you would bless them and keep them, that your face would shine upon them, give them peace, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. And Lord, when people treat us differently, even when it's in the bad way, Lord, that we would rejoice because we know that's because of something you've done in us. That's the way it's supposed to be. And Lord, we look forward to the reward that we get, not always here, not always the accolades here and the praise here and people congratulate us, but Lord, the reward in heaven with you. And Lord, help us to take a couple people along with us while we do. Help us to encourage others. Help us to look for those people that are discouraged and go out of our way. Yeah, we're going to get bumps and bruises. Yeah, we're going to get knocked around, but Lord, go out of our way to reach out for them and bring them to you as well. Amen.